Hey guys, welcome back to the newest edition of Bubblegum Sports Unfiltered. We got a big show for you guys today. It's kind of a down week as far as sports goes, but we got a couple of things going on that don't occur all the time. We got the Royal Rumble going on. There's a couple of big tidbits of football news also, Jeff, going on. And let's start with the big one. Bill Belichick is not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And my question to you is, how is that even possible? He's an 8-time Super Bowl champion coach. So are they saying by doing this, are they saying that no one's should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer? I don't know what the guy has to do. What were your first thoughts when you heard this?
I thought it was a joke at first. I'm like, what do you mean he's not? I mean, there's absolutely no way he shouldn't be in there. I think there's a couple, 10 voters that voted against it or didn't vote for him. I don't know if those are Jets fans, Bills fans, and Dolphin fans or what, but it was just a joke. There's no way that he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I think they're holding the, Spygate and Deflategate or whatever the heck it was against him. But dude was there 12 times. Overall, he's won 8 rings. I mean, how is that not? I don't care what you think of him. I mean, I don't. If you hate him, fine, whatever. But there's no denying he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, and he's going to get in there. I just think they wanted to stick it to him just for the couple of things because he wasn't media friendly. You know, his press conferences were usually one-word answers, and he probably rubbed a bunch of guys the wrong way. Well, that's just tough crap. I mean, you don't judge someone on their Hall of Fame by how they handle their press conference. It's what they do on the field. At least it's supposed to be what's on the field. So it was just a joke. That was just a joke. Yeah,
it's one of those things where, like you said, I feel like they were trying to prove a point. But man, you really shouldn't even have a vote. And I want to know what the viewers think too, as we have a special guest here joining us momentarily. They shouldn't have a vote, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the NFL actually sent out a tweet or whatever you want to call it nowadays, like a press release saying they can remove people from voting for the Hall of Fame, just to kind of remind people, like, hey, this is not okay. And I'm not an overly huge Bill Belichick guy because a lot of the things you said, I feel like over time he kind of forgot what got him there in the first place, and he kind of acted like a jerk. And a lot of coaches do act like a jerk, but he did it unnecessarily, I feel. But that doesn't take away that he's a Hall of Fame coach. All right, so before we go any further, the special guest who's going to turn into a more than a one-time thing here. And there's many reasons we made this decision, but the views on the special episode of Bubblegum Cards we did took off so much that I said, let's try and get the magic to work on the Big Boy show. This guy's been a minor leaguer. He's done some minor league stuff here on YouTube, but now he's up with the big boys. And I'm curious to see what he can show, because I know what he brings to the table. He knows a lot about sports. He's got a good personality. He's going to help this show a lot. Let's welcome Clayton in. Clayton, how's it going, man? Well, Clayton, we can't hear you currently. We'll give him.
Who's is Benny running his feed there? Because this seems like definitely a.
That's how it happens sometimes. I think we got them all. The kinks worked out. Clay, how you doing, buddy?
No, I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys?
We're doing good. Hey, welcome back in. Jeff was saying Benny's probably in charge of doing the audio over there, right? Is that what's going on?
I'd like to blame him, but no.
Okay. Well, we are right in the middle of the first topic. Bill Belichick. Can you believe he did not get in on the first ballot? What's going on over there?
No, I can't believe it, to be honest with you. Like, his record speaks for itself. I mean, he's got 8 Super Bowl wins. He's the winningest coach of all time. Right there. He's right there with most playoff wins of all time. How he doesn't get in, it's beyond me. When you just look at his stats across the board and what he's done as a coach, it's quite impressive. He's got as much high-end stats to get into the Hall of Fame as some of the other coaches have, and they got in on
crazy.
one of those categories. He's like top in multiple categories, not just one.
I mean, eight Super Bowls alone as a head coach should get you in like 10 times over. And like we were just talking, obviously some people in the media, he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I see that part of it. But to me, if you have a vote, you can't hold that against him so much that you don't vote him in to the Hall of Fame. Even Spygate, Deflategate, I feel like those two things are kind of products of a time when nobody could beat his teams. They couldn't beat the Patriots, so they had to come up with all these reasons. It kind of reminds me of the tush push in a way. The tush push wasn't a problem until nobody could stop the Eagles. Then it was a big problem. And what do you know? Now you don't hear as much about the tush push when they didn't have that great of a year. Geez. I just think these people probably should lose their vote. What do you got, Jeff?
Yeah, someone brought up yesterday, too, when I was talking that, Bill Walsh and Vince Lombardi weren't first-team Hall of Fame coaches either. And that's true. But did they win 8 Super Bowls? No. So you can say all you want about this guy wasn't and that guy wasn't. And this doesn't matter. Dude has 8 rings. 8. I mean, that's that's crazy. 8. So no matter what. And he's got, isn't his, I believe one of his defensive scheme against the Bills is in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, he's got, yeah. So, what else does he have to do? I know it has to be, I would really like the NFL to list the voters and who's in charge of this, because I want to see how they voted and who they were. I guarantee you it was a bunch of, whiny ass journalists who got their burned a little bit by him, who were upset. So they decided to hold it against him, and it had to be. And I guarantee you, it's all East Coast writers. It's all people that had covered, either the Bills, the, Jets, Miami, that area. It had to be, because they just, they're holding a grudge. And I really think the NFL should be more transparent in who these voters are and why they vote. And they should have to answer for their votes. Well, you can't just be blind and anonymous.
I personally agree with you. I think the one way to solve this from happening is every voter in every major sport for the Hall of Fame should have to reveal their ballot. It should be part of.
If they vote against him, I'm sorry. If they vote against it, that's fine, but you have to have facts to back it up. And if your facts don't back it up, well, then there you go. Because I don't know what facts someone's going to pull out that say he doesn't deserve to be first ballot. I have no clue.
In a lot of ways, he was kind of a jerk, but that doesn't prevent you from that. That's not one of the criteria of getting you in the Hall of Fame. Now, as far as the Hall of Fame goes, my other problem with this is I feel like the NFL is probably the most inconsistent Hall of Fame as far as the types of players they let in. Sometimes they let in people that you're kind of like, that's kind of a fringe player. But then you have such a drastic difference right here. It should be a lock, a shoe-in, and he can't get in first ballot. So they have consistency issues and bias issues that are abnormal in the NFL, and I think they need to fix it quick. What do you guys think about that part of it as far as how inconsistent the NFL Hall of Fame is?
Well, yeah, sorry. Yeah, they need to clean up their stuff, but I don't think they're the most inconsistent. I think I've had a problem with baseball's Hall of Fame forever, and I think that's just a garbage, just the way they held out players, and they continue to hold out players for things that supposedly rules they broke that weren't rules. I think that's just a scam and a joke. But as far as the NFL goes, yeah, there's a ton of players that when they get elected, you're like, all right, who? I mean, it's like, wow. And, even Packer fans, longtime Packer fans, it took Jerry Kramer forever to get in. to the Hall of Fame, and he's finally elected in. So it's, there's players that should be in there that are overlooked, and players, I don't understand it. I have no clue. There's tons of players that deserve to be in there, and coaches that, aren't.
So. No, I agree with Jeff on that. I think baseball is really the one that their standards have been lowered a lot. It's kind of like the Hall of Pretty Good Players, not the Hall of Fame. The NFL it's been better. Bill Belichick will make the Hall of Fame. He should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer without question, but he'll get in. But you look at like baseball right now, they're adding guys because they don't have the guys that are retiring right now that have the stats, have that numbers, and then they're voting them into the Hall of Fame because they got to put somebody in there year after year to kind of give themselves attention and some kind of ratings for that. But then you look at a guy like a Craig Biggio, in my opinion, he should be a Hall of Famer. I think that guy should be in, but he's not. But now you're getting other guys who are getting voted in that.
Well, give me an idea. Give me one or two guys that you think have gotten in very recently that you are like, no, not really.
Oh, I agree he should be in there, but Andrew Jones from the Braves, he's kind of a fringe one. Stats are good, damn good to see defensive center fielder. I can't remember offhand who the other one who got voted in this year was also, but I remember seeing the name and I'm like, boy, his numbers were not that great. They're not Hall of Fame numbers.
Yeah, now that you say that, I mean, there's some validity to that. The thing about baseball voters are you have a combination of some guys are traditionalists, like to the extreme where they just will not change their mindset no matter what. And then some people, maybe if they're in their early 30s that are voting and they vote completely different because they haven't seen guys hit, for the most part, like 500 home runs. They're, like you said, the stats that you're seeing nowadays aren't exactly, 5-tool players, like well-rounded, they're very niche categories where they're really great in one category, like home run or whatever. So maybe their mindset as far as what they've seen personally is skewed, and that's why it's so drastically different. I still think it's harder to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame than almost any other one, notwithstanding the last year, maybe two. Jeff, do you have anything to add to this before we move on to the next topic?
No, I think, like you said, going through all the sports Hall of Fames, football is there. They have some problems. Baseball definitely has problems. And, the other sports, hockey, basketball, they have Hall of Fames, but they never even make a big deal about it, I don't think. I mean, I don't even know when their inductions are. They'll say, oh, this guy's a Hall of Famer. And you're like, oh, all right. So, I memean, the two major sports that have Hall of Fames, they need to fix some of their mistakes because that's the big time Hall of Fame for the football is huge. And there's some problems going on.
Now that you say that too, just about the Hall of Fame in general, like it wasn't too long ago that like Favre and some of those guys went in. It was a huge deal, but the last few years, and now that what Clayton's saying too, the last few years of baseball, I couldn't have told you, what the ceremony was like. It seems like nobody watches it anymore. It used to be not very long ago either, like 10 years ago. It was a huge summer event, but even the coverage is almost nothing nowadays. Let's get to a couple comments here.
And that's.
Hold on 1 second, Jeff. Let's get to a couple comments.
They have an opportunity.
Hold on 1 second, Jeff. You might be on a little delay, or I'll just mute him just for a second. I'll get right back to you. MJ says Belichick should be in the Hall of Fame. And then she also says, I think Hall of Fame voters should be public knowledge. However, who they voted for should not be revealed. So I don't know if I agree with that. I think if it's known who's voting, you should have to reveal your ballot as well. Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, the only thing I was saying is baseball has an opportunity, and they should be doing it for their All-Star weekend. Is absolutely when they should make the huge deal of their Hall of Fame. They've got the All-Star game, they've got the All-Star game, they've got the home run contest and all of that. They absolutely should make a huge deal about the Hall of Fame inductions and make it a whole weekend event. But it's just like, They don't. I don't even know when I didn't have any clues when the Hall of Fame induction was this year. All of a sudden it was over, and you're like, oh, okay, it was on some random Tuesday afternoon or something, and it's like, oh, all right, all these guys are in, and you didn't see any coverage of it anywhere. They need to make it a huge event like the NFL does. They need the Hall of Fame game. That's a big deal. I mean, granted, it's a preseason game, but they make a big deal out of it. And that's what baseball needs to do, to generate some interest in it again, because it used to be a big deal.
They I don't know why they don't do this, but man, can you imagine if they had it like an All-Star weekend or something like that, and it was like the last thing, like maybe either right before, the day before the All-Star game, or they move the All-Star game to Saturday and do the induction ceremony Sunday. But I think they can implement it with another major event in the sport, or do it during the World Series. Like, you can extend that weekend or whatever the last week of the season is, or like I said, the All-Star game into Hall of Fame weekend. Imagine what kind of event that would be. It would be kind of like, everyone goes to the Super Bowl, whoever goes to it, and it's a week-long event. You don't just go for a day or two. They make it an event, and I think baseball seriously needs to think about that.
Well, I think
definitely.
There's a lot of history in baseball, and there was a lot of history with steroids in baseball, and that was pushed a lot by MLB. So when you take that into account, MLB knowing all the steroid use, knowing that they had that, and then they don't take probably the best player that's been in baseball, statistically everything, in Barry Bonds, and you don't induct him into the Hall of Fame. What's that saying about what you're putting in there? You'll put guys who probably shouldn't be in there, but then a guy who's your home run leader, and if he didn't take steroids, the guy probably would have been in the Hall of Fame regardless, because he was that good in Barry Bonds. But, they pushed a lot of that. It's hard to take them serious when they put some of the guys in that they do and don't put in the guys that they don't put in.
And I think that's one of Jeff's biggest problems with them.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Clay. They overlooked it. They had a rule. They overlooked it. They never enforced it. And now all of a sudden it comes out and they're like, oh, no, we can't have you in there. Well, you allowed it for 6 years. You never did any testing on it. So then all of a sudden it's a bad deal. You're going to see it come a day, and it's probably going to happen just like they did with Pete Rose and Joe Jackson. It's going to be when they die, when Bonds dies, they'll put him in just so he can't enjoy it. And he should be in. Clemens should be in. There's a number of players that should be in. Sosa should be in. All those guys should be in. They saved baseball, in my opinion. That whole group of players from in the mid-90s, early 2000s saved baseball, because after that strike, they were dead. Nobody was coming back, and they needed that steroid era to generate interest, and that's exactly what they did.
Yep.
Now they're holding it against them.
Let's get to another comment here. Void is back, I think he's in 5th grade. What year? I think last year he said it was in 4th grade. Void is back. So 5th grade. He says, Bill Belichick got robbed. The Patriots are winning the Super Bowl. The tribal chief is your Royal Rumble winner, and that sums up his night. Void, how would you have an open invite? I know at the beginning of the season, you said you were writing a book report on Mike Vrabel. How would you like to come here next week, Super Bowl weekend, and give a few lines of your book report? Open invitation. You let us know. I want to hear it. You let us know if you're interested in the comments, and we'll get back to that. But he's back. Void's back. Of course, he waits all season. Patriots in the Super Bowl. Void's back. And his hero, Clay, for if you don't know, his first book report he wrote one on was Benny Bayless.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and it's amazing that Void was able to graduate with Benny B's help.
Yeah. Void says, wouldn't that be awesome? Well, Void, why don't we consider that a done deal? Why don't you come back next Saturday night at 6 o'clock? Give us a few lines of your favorite lines of that book report, and we'll do that for Super Bowl weekend. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. Speaking of jokes and speaking of the NFL, is there a bigger joke in professional sports besides what the NFL Pro Bowl voting system has turned into? Shadeur Sanders and Joe Flacco are, even as alternates, should be nowhere near the Pro Bowl. It's not an honor anymore. What is going on? It's a joke. How can a league that makes so much money let those two guys in the Pro Bowl?
there had to be a contract thing where if Shadeur makes the Pro Bowl, he got a bonus, and his dad got a bunch of people to vote for him so he could make that bonus or something. Or the people in Cleveland just are tired of being, Cleveland Brown fans, and they wanted a winner. So every person in Ohio voted for him, because I don't exactly know what the ratio is between fan votes and actual people who know what they're talking about votes, but it had to be just, how sometimes, if you go back to when you were in high school, there was always those elections where you voted the kid that damn well wasn't going to win, but you voted for him just because you thought it was funny. That's exactly what this is. People who voted for Shadeur think it's funny, and they're like, yeah, hey man, let's get him in. And it doesn't make that much of a difference because they're not having a big game about it or anything, but man, he shouldn't even, there's no way he should have ever been elected. Absolutely none that he should have ever been elected to the Pro Bowl. And, his dad had his way, his jersey would already be retired and he would have his Hall of Fame ballot already written out. So,
well, hey, judging by recent events, he might just make the Hall of Fame. I would say he has a couple more years ahead of him.
He could retire now.
4 or 5 touchdowns, and you can get his Canton jacket ready, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
He's a Pro Bowler, I guess. So, you could have taken any of the AFC quarterbacks not named Justin Fields and put him in over those two guys.
All right,
I would actually put Justin Fields over him because I looked up his stats.
I wouldn't.
Fields threw for 1,259 yards, 7 TDs, 1 pick, and he had an 89.5 QB rating. Far better than Sanders. Better than Sanders.
It is. It's comparable. They're both really bad. Neither one should be. But someone should put him in over like a Cam Ward, who's probably going to be your rookie of the year. He threw to 15, 16 touchdowns to 7, 8 picks. Didn't have a great year, but you could have taken Trevor Lawrence. You could have taken. They didn't even give Daniel Jones the option to get named there, even though he wouldn't have broken leg.
Probably because he couldn't play. But yeah, Daniel Jones would have been way more deserving than Shadeur. Let's go down the list really fast. Let's go down. Who made the Pro Bowl? Obviously, Josh Allen made it, right?
Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and who was the other quarterback that was
from the Patriots?
Yeah, Drake May. He was the other one.
Drake May. Okay, so we can't pick any of those. Let's go down the division quick. Tua or Shadeur Sanders? I'm going Shadeur, actually, in this case.
I'm going Tua. Guy had 20 touchdowns on here, 15 picks, and a couple thousand yards. His stats are clearly better. Granted, he's not a very good quarterback. Numbers-wise, he's clearly better.
Yeah. Going stat-wise, I'd take Tua also.
Okay, so let's run through obviously Josh Allen's already in. Drake May was already in. Who's the last team in that division?
The Jets, and we got your choice. You got your choice for the Jets: Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, or Brady Cook. And honestly, any one of those over Shadeur would be fine with me. I'm not even trolling you guys out there. I'm going Shadeur if I have the option of Justin Fields this year because he only played like 3 or 4 games. Or Shadeur. I think Shadeur had a lot less to work with. I would pick him over the way. And Justin Fields got benched like 3 times this year, which has got to be a record. Yeah, that is true. But
all right,
I'm still going.
Let's move on. Let's get through this quick here because we got one more topic. AFC South. Cam Ward or Shadeur?
Ward. Definitely Cam Ward.
Okay, yeah. I would agree with that. Trevor Lawrence. I would go with Trevor, and I'm not a Trevor Lawrence fan by any means. And you guys in the comments out there in TV land, feel free to chime in if we get to any teams that you would rather go with Shadeur on. Now, what about Houston?
I'd take CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
Now, as far as bombing, CJ Stroud might have done the most damage to his reputation because that playoff game. I'm really trying to think. That might be the worst playoff game I've seen a professional quarterback play. He was atrocious.
Yeah. If he would have done anything but turn it over, they probably would have won that game.
Probably. Yeah, if they would have handed the ball off every play, they probably win that game. All right, who else
spiked the ball every play and had a better rating?
And that's 100% true. I wish we were joking. Yeah. All right, who else we got in that divion? I don't have anything in front of me with the team.
Colts, we got Daniel Jones, Phillip Rivers, or Riley. Was it Riley Leonard?
Yeah, I go Daniel Jones there. Okay, hit up the. Let's go. Keep going there, guys. Whoever has it in front of them. What have we got in the next?
The West.
Yep.
The West is Mahomes, Herbert, Bo Nix, and Geno Smith. And
I go with everyone except Geno Smith, probably for sure.
Yeah, Geno is a question mark, but I would have to give it to him. Only the Raiders just suck as a team. Not saying the Browns don't, but the Raiders had. I mean, Pete Carroll was their coach, and he's got one foot in the grave. So I mean, you've got a zombie doing a coaching, and Geno didn't have a good year, but it would be a toss-up. I could see Shadeur over Geno, but
I have trouble with Geno because he left the team and now they're in the Super Bowl, and he went to a team and now they're the first pick in the
draft. That is a bad look. That is a bad look. He's not wrong about that. That starts to develop a reputation. All right, we have one more division, don't we, in the AFC?
Yeah, we got the North, which we got Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, A-Rod, and then, of course, Shadeur.
I go with all of them over Shadeur.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers could have easily been in there over him.
Yeah, definitely.
So we basically have just went through all the teams, and we basically just said, except for maybe one or two disagreements, that literally every other quarterback in the AFC, except for maybe two, should have easily been in without debate over Shadeur Sanders. How can the NFL? I just don't see. Yeah, I get like Jeff. I think Jeff mentioned it. Yeah, there's probably some bonuses tied, and Deion, made some friends and blah 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 blah. But all these other quarterbacks that we just went through, I'm sure they have all bonuses tied to their contracts too. How can the NFL allow this to take place? Is crazy to me. And Joe Flacco didn't deserve to be in the Pro Bowl either. Over about 10 of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, how many games did Flacco play this year?
Well, for which team?
Yeah, I mean, well, granted, yeah, that's right. He played for the Browns and he played for the Bengals. So
it was consistently. He had 2 good games,
13 games.
I'd give it to Flacco because he beat the Packers twice in consecutive weeks. So there you go. That's your all-star.
Joe Flacco had 2,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 10 picks on the year in 13 games.
Oh, I take that back. He didn't beat the Packers twice. He went 1-1 against them with separate teams. So there's that.
They got to fix it, because I can't think of a sport I would watch less of a Pro Bowl anything, whether it's skill. They need to bring – I like your idea. They need to bring back the skills competition. But, man, the Pro Bowl itself is a joke. It's an absolute
the whole thing.
joke.
There's a couple of sports that have started doing their all-star game really well. Baseball has always done it, I thought, pretty well. They kind of get into it a little bit now with, each pitcher only gets like an inning or whatever, which I don't agree with. But they do it. It's still a competitive ball game. Hockey last year won everything with the 4-team.
The nations, right? The countries or whatever. Yeah.
That, as their all-star break, was 100% the way to go. Basketball, you're going to see them do probably something like that, similar. I think they are this year. And that's the way to go. I know none of you are soccer fans, but I am. The MLS has always done a really decent job. Their team is competitive. They pick a team, and then they'll usually have a team from a foreign country, and it's a big-name team that they'll play their all-star game against. So, I mean, it makes the game competitive. You want to see a competitive game. NFL lost it probably 25, 30 years ago, and it devolved into a flag football game, which of course it is now, and it's just an absolute joke. So they need to just scrap the whole thing.
Hard in the NFL to put rosters together and get game plans in a week or two for guys who never played together. That's where they just need to stick to skills, and you see who can throw the ball the longest.
Exactly, 100%.
Like you just said, Clay, I think if you cut it down to maybe 4 competitions that are legit, like that one, like you're touching on, back in the day, like I'm talking like the mid-90s, that QB competition where you watch them throw as far as they possibly can, that and the one they're aiming for targets, that would be a huge ratings boost right there. Yeah. People would watch that over almost anything. That's what they need to concentrate on.
Exactly. And you don't, they could have, every quarterback that wants to participate could participate. They don't have to be voted into it. The Pro Bowlers could get a special, I don't know, they could, start earlier or whatever. I don't know what the thing is. They could get a little bump, but you could open that up to all the players at the end of the year. And that would be something everybody would watch. Everybody watches the home run derby. Everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what they should do with football. Exactly. 100%. Have a quarterback challenge. You can have receiver challenges. You can do anything, but they need to if they're not going to have an actual competitive game, do the skills competition. Hockey does it great. Hockey has a great skills competition. So,
all right, let's move on to our last topic here of the night, the Royal Rumble. Now, my biggest problem with this is that it starts at 1 p.m., okay? Every event, it seems like every other pay-per-view that WWE does nowadays is all in Saudi Arabia. I don't mind them doing shows in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, they're funded quite a bit from people out there. But, man, when you start doing almost every pay-per-view there, it loses some of its entertainment value as far as I'm concerned. Who has time? Anybody that works on a weekend, which not everybody does, who wants to start watching a pay-per-view at 1 p.m.? That's crazy to me, especially on a Saturday. Sunday would be more realistic. Let's start with that. What do you guys think about the 1 p.m. start time for a major pay-per-view?
I think it's a joke. UFC is doing it too. UFC has had some events in Saudi Arabia. They also have some events in Australia. Those pay-per-views start early in the afternoon. And, for wrestling, you could do like a Super Bowl party event for that. That's something that people would get together and watch. So it's not a horrible idea to have it in the afternoon, but I think you would get more people watching it at night than you do in the afternoon.
A lot more. Now, like you just said, Jeff, UFC, aren't they like one company? They basically owned by the same parent, like TKO, right?
Yeah, now they are. Yeah, they're kind of merged into one organization.
And like I said, I understand the financial aspects of it, the implications. I understand, the partnerships they have, with Saudi Arabia. I get you have to have a lot of, entertainment out there, but man, I feel like they're forgetting about what got them there as far as, man, what made you popular in the first place. You got to mix it up a little bit and do a little bit more back here in the States. What do you think, Clay?
I think one's a horrible start time for any kind of a main event kind of pay-per-view Super Bowl kind of level thing you're doing. 1 p.m. is just awful. You could, even if you did like a 4 p.m., you'd have a lot more people, at least in America, our country, viewing that, getting together and doing it. 1 p.m. starts it's like watching a noon football game. People aren't as hyped for that,
Yeah, and just the start time alone decreases some of the luster of the prestige of the pay-per-view. If you ask me, I think that's just crazy. Whoever thought of that? Now, again, it's not my money. I'm sure there's so much money being influxed in the WWE from Saudi Arabia that it makes it a very easy decision when they look at their bottom line. So it's easy for us to sit here and say it. But as fans and knowing enough people that are fans, I think we're all in agreement that that's a horrible idea as far as start time. All right, let's get into a couple of the matches. So the Rumbles, the girls want Rumble, the women's Rumble. Liv Morgan won that, and Roman Reigns. And this is what Void was talking about. Roman Reigns won the men's Rumble. So two wrestlers that have kind of been mainstream for quite some time. One of the big things, there was a masked man. Did you guys see this? A masked man interfered with the men's Rumble, throwing Braun Breaker, getting him eliminated. Some people are starting to estimate that this might be Seth Rollins coming back. What do you guys think about this?
It was interesting. He got Braun got beat up outside the ring, got thrown in, and was quickly eliminated. So it could be a way. It could be Seth Rollins. I don't know. I honestly don't watch enough to know who it could be. It was entertaining. I'll give him that, because all of a sudden, out of the blue, is like some dude out of the stands comes in and just starts pounding on him. So it was entertaining. I don't know who it could be. I wonder if Bruno's on a chat, or would like to get Bruno's idea who it could be.
They gave me a great idea. They gave me it before Clay goes. If Bruno is listening, I know he watches. He's a loyal viewer. He might be watching on the legs. I know Saturdays are busy for him. But what if we did our own Rumble? Bubblegum Sports Crew versus any thrry wrestlers, us three against them three, and we have a Royal Rumble. Are you guys in?
And you know what? We've got an event coming up in Pulaski in 3 weeks. It's on the 21st, I believe, in
Jeff,
Pulaski, and that would be the time to do it. And I'm sure we would, win. I mean,
I don't think they have the guts to face Bubblegum Sports. I'm just gonna say that on record. Clayton, I know what kind of shape he's in. Jeff, you're like the mouth of the South. You're like our Jimmy Hart. Maybe Bruno will let us bring in a guest, a third guest, a mystery man, if you will, and we go 3 versus 3. I'm just tossing it out there, Bruno. That sounds like ratings gold, but that's just me. Clay, what do you think? Any inkling as far as who this masked person might be? Or did you have any other thoughts on the Rumble matches?
I'm not sure who it would be. If it was Seth Rollins, that would be pretty cool. I do really like them bringing a masked guy out of the stands. Gets the fans feeling like, hey, one of us is out there. Somebody can go in there. Anybody can run into that ring and interfere in a Royal Rumble. And it gets everybody way more involved. I think that's pretty smart and genius. And then you're trying to bring back whoever the masked man is. Who knows? Maybe it's Randy Orton or something, Dave. You never know.
Now, that's a perfect segue. I don't think it's Randy Orton because he was also in the Rumble, but that was probably my favorite moment is I saw a clip where he was just RKOing everybody in the Rumble today, and that was awesome. Brought back great memories of when I RKO'd Clayton outside one time, like 7 times. No big deal. No big deal. Now,
if you'd get tossed out of the ring on a Royal Rumble if we're not on the same team.
That's true. That is true. Now, so what this is setting up, if you guys didn't see the clips at home, is Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes were kind of working together, but then someone moved, and then Cody Rhodes ended up knocking out Randy Orton. So I feel like they're setting up kind of like a Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, which I think would be a freaking great little battle or whatever you want to call it, like a multi-match, 2 or 3 matches here and there. And the big rumor is, and I have this from inside sources, it sounds like they're considering turning Cody Rhodes heel. And we talked about this about a year or so ago, Jeff, when, WWE was just scorching hot and Cody kept winning, but we kept saying, yeah, but, he doesn't have that aura about him. At this point, he's been, winning long enough that I feel like that would really put a wrench into the plans. And I also want to point out this. There were multiple people on this show, loyal viewers, that tried to compare John Cena's heel turn to Hulk Hogan's, and then they switched John Cena back like 2 weeks later like nothing ever happened. So, guys, let's just not be biased, and let's know what we're talking about a little bit next time. No big deal. Now, back to Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton. Who do you guys have in a match? I'm going Randy Orton all day long, but I would like to see Cody Rhodes turn heel. Would you guys have a pick? If you had to put your salary on one of these two guys, who are you going with?
I'd go with Orton, but I think Cody would make a perfect heel. I don't think he's a very likable face. I don't think he's a very likable good guy. I'd turn him heel like immediately.
Now,
so
if they turn him heel,
I would. He should be heel.
That Cody Rhodes should be heel.
What's that? Cody Rhodes should be heel.
Yeah. Now, my question to you, Jeff, if they turn him heel, will he last as long as the 10-day heel turn of John Cena, or do you think it'll be less?
No, he'll if they turn him heel, he'll remain heel until his final contract, till he's finally done. He would make a good heel. I really do think he'd make a better heel than he does as a face or a good guy, as you want to call him. I think he does. I think he's got a bad attitude kind of look to him, and I think he would be a perfect heel.
Yeah, I think he'd be a guy people would love to hate, and he'd bring in viewers being the heel. If I was going to pick, I got to take Randy Orton, RKOing him all day. But,
and as the last comment, maybe some of our viewers out there, that's a great point, and that brings me into a thought. I feel like they use Randy Orton nowadays as like a jobber. Like, To me, he's one of the few athletes they have that is great on the mic. Now he's getting up there in age a little bit, but he's great in the ring still. And they use him like he's like an afterthought. And I really don't understand a lot of what WWE is doing nowadays. Maybe they're trying to promote, the NXT and some of the, quote unquote minor league wrestlers and try and develop them. But geez, you got a star just sitting there. And I feel like they're just trying too hard, and all their athletes all kind of seem like the same character. You guys kind of have any thoughts on the current state of WWE in general before we head out for the night?
Well, I was impressed with Mr. Iguana. I don't know if you saw him in the Royal Rumble. So I don't know. That was entertaining. He didn't last very long, but it was kind of an interesting shtick. They did have a lot of guys from NXT, and they performed pretty well today. The one thing I do want to just throw out real quick, and I guess maybe it's not a big deal, but having it in Saudi Arabia, if you watch the Women's Rumble, you will notice something immediately different about the Women's Rumble in Saudi Arabia than you would have if it was held anywhere else in the world. And that was, I'm just going to say, the costumes were were different today than they would be anywhere else. And it's something that the women have been known for and what the fans come to kind of expect. And it was different, to say the least. And that was 100% due to the fact that it was in Saudi Arabia. Not going into any more political detail on that, but it's just, money talks, and they bent to the money. So,
yeah. Any last thoughts, Clay?
They're trying to grow. I understand that. Get more viewership, because if you're in business, if you're not growing, you're probably dying. So doing all this and trying to grow their brand, make them bigger, more popular all across the world, not just, like in America. So I can respect that. I get it. I just wish it wasn't at like one little bit more easy to access and get viewership for, but it is what it is. I can appreciate them trying to make it a more popular, even bigger than it is. So like I said, if you're not growing, you're dying. So
now that gives me, as my final thought of the night, that gives me an idea. What kind of ratings would we be talking about if we sent Benny Bayless to Saudi Arabia to try and secure financing for Bubblegum Sports, and we got to do like episodes of his trip and the meeting over there? What do you? I mean, we're talking about sky high ratings, right?
Yeah, we could get the backing of some rich sheik to put Benny up over there. Yeah, that would be definitely must see TV.
Benny, I know you watch the episodes still. We're still trying to, we have something planned for Benny here in the near future. So it's just a matter of him being available. But aside from that, Benny, I think if you can afford the flight out to Saudi Arabia, because obviously we're still a little low on funds as a company, I think we should do something like that. I think that would be awesome. Maybe we can send an intern. Maybe we can send an intern with Benny Bayless and videotape the whole event. Maybe Anton could go with him.
Hey, that's fair.
That's
Anton and Benny. The road to Riyadh. I think that would be perfect.
Hey, on that note, thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. We did have quite a few viewers in the middle of the show there. Now, next week's Super Bowl week. We got a lot to talk about next week. Let us know. I know, like I said, a lot of you guys watch the show on delay now because, you're all busy on Saturday nights. Make sure you realize you can still leave us comments and ideas for the next show. If there's any topics that you think we need to talk about, even if you wait a few days and post them in the show chat, we'll get those. I read all of them and respond to them. So, feel free to comment and give us your ideas if you think something's important that needs to be talked about, and we'll gladly get that on the show. So on that note, Clayton, you made it through your first show. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice job. It's good having you. Do you want to come back next week?
Absolutely.
All right. So Clayton's in. Jeff, have a good week. Stay out of trouble. Stay off the news.
Do my best.
All right.
No problem.
Hey, on that note, we will see everyone 1 week from today, the night before the Super Bowl. We'll have plenty to discuss. Enjoy your guys' week. Stay warm out there.